All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Network. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, covering his top 10 outfielders for the 2025 fantasy baseball season, is Corey Pieper. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. I think we're under 30 days to spring training now.
Woo.
And so we are got to get these done and get some more
fast.
fantasy baseball ready to go here.
Hell yeah. It's coming fast.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, as I said, we will be covering some early top 10 outfielder rankings here by Corey. But before we get started, I want to remind everybody to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, leave some comments. We love hearing from you. If you're listening on audio only, make sure you follow or subscribe or whatever it's called. I don't know, that are all different. So whatever it's called, wherever you listen, please help out. We love it. And of course, jump over to fantasysixpack.net/plans, become an all access member. You're going to get access to our award-winning rankings, the draft cheat sheet, which should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm working on that as we speak, just fine tuning it for this season. And, of course, both me and Corey and the rest of the staff over on our Discord, where you can get your custom league and team questions answered right there in our Discord. So to me, that's where the most value comes from. Honestly, like you just get that custom, that attention to detail that you wouldn't get in a lot of other places. So, but without further ado, let's jump into our top 10 outfielders here, and we will start with your number 10, Yordan Alvarez. Big time power bat. Struggled at times to get the power going last year. I did have him in a league. Finally came around. Like the overall numbers were pretty solid for him. But man, the whole season felt like, when's he going to start like hitting bombs in like bunches? And it didn't come until very late. But give me your thoughts on Alvarez here.
Well, first off, he played a career high in games last year, which was good to see. His knees are not always the greatest thing to rely upon, but last year we got 147 games. So we got a career high in plate appearances. The counting stats, I would agree. I think that it left a little bit to be desired because we got the most games, but still 35 home runs. The 86 RBIs are a little fluky. I have no idea where the 6 steals came from. I do not bank on the 6 steals. The man had stole 2 bases the first 5 years of his career. Do not bank on the steals, but the 308 batting average, and that's what you can get with Yordan Alvarez that not many players offer, is prodigious power with the strong batting average. You can still look at it. He dropped the strikeout rate. He raises the walk rate. He drops the walk rate, but he drops the strikeout rate in comparison with it. So I don't mind that. I think you can still, he's one of the safer bets for something like 35 to 40 home runs and a 300 batting average. And he bats in the middle of a pretty good Astros lineup.
Yep.
It's pretty rock solid in 4 categories.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at his splits, like just to kind of back up kind of what I was saying earlier. Like he started off hot, 7 home runs and 2 in the month of May, 7 in June. So you're like, all right, he's coming back. Then 4 in July, and you're like, what's going on? Yeah. But then August to September, 8 and 7 home runs apiece. Like just ended hot, and so that was good to see. But yeah, with him playing a season high in a career high in games, you would have expected more than 35. So again, very, very, very good player. Just, speed's not going to be his thing. Good luck on that one. So, all right. Number 9, Jarren Duran. Kind of really, really came on the scene last year. I'll be honest, man. I paid zero attention to Duran at drafts last season.
I was the opposite. I was pretty much all in on Duran. I think Fantasy Six Pack did a staff article on I don't know, bold predictions or something. And I think I said Jarren Duran goes 2050. He didn't quite get there, but it wasn't far off. I'm taking it as at least half credit on a win there. So part of it was, again, sheer volume. He led all of baseball in plate appearances and at bats because he batted leadoff for 160 games for the Dodgers. The Red Sox, man. Woo!
I mean, everybody else plays for the Dodgers. Why not Duran, right?
I guess, right? 21 home runs, career high, 75 RBIs, career high, 34 steals, and a 285 batting average. Yeah. And I think you can pretty much feel safe about him repeating a lot of that. The 20 home runs, I feel pretty good he can get to that as long as he stays with Boston. There was some talk that he might be traded. I We're sitting here in mid-January. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen anymore. He's plenty fast. He can easily repeat the 30 steals. The batting average, that's 2 years in a row, 295 and 285. So I think that we can bank on that. And for a guy who's batting leadoff on a very good team, the other stats should come: 20 home runs, 30 steals, around 100 runs scored. I'll take that in the top 2 rounds.
Yeah, he I just wasn't really sure the power was like something that we were going to be able to bank on. I thought he was just kind of like a speed guy. So, but all right. Prove me wrong big time. I'll be honest with you, like I'm still a little leery about the power because like it didn't really show it in the minors really either. I mean, I guess 16 in AAA in 2021, but outside of that, man, like the power wasn't really a thing in the minors for him. Not like that. Not something I thought would carry over big time into the majors, 21 home runs, but we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked though if he dropped to like 16, 17 home runs, which still isn't bad, especially if he's going to give you like 30, 40 steals. But yeah, it's still very, very good overall player there. Little power speed combo at the top, which is something we all love to draft early. And so right on. Number 8 here, Ronald Acuna Jr. Best player in baseball when he's healthy outside of maybe Ohtani, right?
It's so hard to rank him, though. It's so hard to figure out where you want to put him because since I actually wrote this, we learned that it's possible he's not back right away as he continues to recover from his torn ACL. So that sucks. We've seen him miss time before with a torn ACL. That was the 2023 season or 2022 season, I believe, when he started slow with as he recovered from the torn ACL. 2023 was the just behemoth season. And then last year we got 49 games and he was off to a slow start even before he tore the ACL. I had him on a couple teams. He was getting the steals, but the home runs weren't coming. I don't really doubt that it wouldn't have corrected if he'd have stayed healthy. He's just too talented for that to happen. I guess the questions are, when does he actually come back? I'm kind of ranking him here, hoping that we're going to get him by sometime in April, early May. And then where does the steals settle back in? Because multiple knee injuries, I know we concerned the last time, and then he put up a 70 steal season. I'm thinking we can still get around 30 and 30. I think that's still possible if we get up pretty close to a full season out of him. And so I'm willing to take him in the, again, top 2 rounds. All these players are top 2 round picks. I mean, that's the thing. We're talking about some of the top end players here. And I have him at 8, but if you wanted to take him earlier, it's pretty hard to argue with a guy who we've seen put up truly one of the best seasons of all time when he had 41 homers and 73 stolen bases a couple of years ago.
Yeah, projections like him a lot right now. Steamer has him at 27 home runs and 46 stolen bases in 131 games. So they're pretty much projecting him to come back at that late April, early May range as well. So, that'll be a good season. So we shall see. Acuna is such a risky, like late first, early second round pick probably at this point now. I don't know if I can pull the trigger on it. It's just I probably will in a couple spots, but just not everywhere. I'm gonna have to like spread the wealth out a little bit. I can't just go all in on him. So because then you do have to worry about like getting that 2022 season, which wasn't really that good. That was the year he was coming back, and so you do have to worry that might be a thing. So number 7 here, Julio Rodriguez, and another tantalizingly like
frustrating
superstar player, but man, was he disappointing last year.
It's frustrating because you want to talk about a player who had weird monthly splits. I don't have him up here, but there was stretches in the season where he was barely hitting the Mendoza line. I'm aware of that because I had him in multiple places. And then he would just go on tears for a stretch of time, and you'd be like, wow, this is it. This is it. We're delivering. And then it cooled back off again. But here's where you sit with Julio Rodriguez. In his disappointing season, we still got a 2020, right? 20 home runs, 24 steals. It wasn't the 32, 37 we saw the year before, but it was still 2020. The runs were a little lower. The ribbies were a little lower. And he still ended up hitting 273. So I am banking back in that we get a little bit more progression, a little bit more good regression again, back to the career that I think he can put up. And it settles in similar to what you just said with Acuna, somewhere around the 30 home runs, 30 steals, 270, 280 average, and the counting stats will come with it.
Yeah, projections are kind of right in line with you, around 30, 28. I've got another one here, 33, 32. So yeah, it sounds like some people are optimistic that he's going to bounce back. But yeah, he is a very, very streaky hitter. I mean, even the year that, even in 2023, he had streaks where I do remember like it wasn't always awesome for him. There was definitely times where you were like, what the hell's going on? And then, like, he blew up, especially in the second half of the year. He crushed it that whole second half of 2023 from what I can remember. I'm sitting here trying to load it up. Second half, he hit 19 of his 32 bombs that year in the second half, which obviously is usually less plate appearances and everything. So he had a hell of a second half in 2023, that's for sure. So, all right, moving on here to number 6, Corbin Carroll, another guy who was super disappointing for most of the season last year. And a lot of people were, pointing toward the shoulder injury from the prior year, or just that I legit read all over the place that he just wasn't that good. People were just off of him, and then he started coming around near the end. But what do you like here about Carroll? Why are you back in?
I'm back in because I see another one. Like, okay, it was a terrible year batting average wise, but 22 home runs, 35 stolen bases with 121 runs scored in a bad year. If that's the bad year, I'm probably going to take that. Like, I'll settle in and take my supposedly bad year where he's giving me 4 categories. Now, the big part was the average, right? The rookie year, he hit 285 his rookie year, he dropped to 231 last year. And the speed, while 35 steals is nice, we saw 54 as a rookie. So yeah, that was disappointing relative to expectations. But you mentioned it, the shoulder, we never got a clear answer. I don't know if he got healthy. I think he hit 11 of his home runs in 1 month. I think it was August where he got hot, and he hit 11 home runs in 1 month there. So that was pretty much the only time we really
and then 13 of his stolen bases, by the way, came in September.
So maybe, I can paint a narrative that he got healthy, that the shoulder started feeling better. He was adamant that the shoulder wasn't a problem. But I said, even if this is my bad year, I will take the bad year here. So if I get a discount, Corbin Carroll was going in the top 3 picks last year, top 4 picks, somewhere around there. If I can get him in the back of the first round now, he still has all the potential to deliver what we thought he was going to do last year.
Yeah, I'm looking at his ADP right now. I was looking around 11 or so. So yeah, it's definitely going to be back into the first round. And it's funny, like I almost want if I don't get like Ohtani or Witt this year, like I almost want back into the first round this year. There's a lot of good players on the turn that I could
start at 11.
I would love to pair up with.
Okay, let's say you're sitting at 11. You start Corbin Carroll, Yordan Alvarez, right? Just 2 outfielders. I think that's possible, right? Like, you just
especially in the 5 outfielder league, I would absolutely do that. If it's not a 5 outfielder league, maybe you go grab like I don't know. I'm trying to see trying to think of who else is there. Maybe you go snag Bryce Harper or something like that. Like that's the kind of thing. So, or Lindor. Like just go get shortstop. Taken care of, that kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of pairing that you could do in that back quarter of the of the first round. I think you'd be setting yourself up really nicely. I mean, it's awesome to have Witt. But like honestly, like I kind of worry about Judge health, right? Is always a concern with him. Doesn't have Soto this year. Not that he's going to be bad, but I do think that was a massive reason why we saw Judge to kind of really bounce back to what he was doing. Cruz is always just drives you nuts at times because he just. I mean, we're talking about players that disappear. Holy cow! Ramirez. I mean, we've seen him dip and go up and down, right? Soto goes to the Mets. I mean, we've seen players go to the Mets and just mud it up. You know what I mean? Like we've seen it happen.
Sure.
There's some guys in that middle range that you're like, really? Maybe I'd rather pair up some of these, like take my chances with the two of these guys. But I get it. Yeah. So, all right. Number 5, Fernando Tatis Jr. No longer does he have infield eligibility, so he is outfield only, folks. But you are all in on Tatis, despite injury concerns throughout his career.
It's so frustrating because it feels like there's still this level that we haven't seen from him yet, and that's coming from a guy who has a 40 homer and 25 steal season on his resume.
Mhm.
And it still feels like we have not seen the best of him, but we can't quite get there because he can't get out of his own way, whether it's suspensions or injuries or whatever. So last year we got 102 games out of him with the injury concerns. And when he was on the field, it's still pretty impressive. 102 games, 21 home runs, 49 RBIs, only stole 11 bases, but hit 276. But it's when you really dive into it that it gets really impressive. The only people who had a harder hit rate than Fernando Tatis last year were Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and Juan Soto. So when he's hitting the ball, he's still hitting it as hard as anyone. And then add that into a 97th percentile average exit velocity and batting average. He's still plenty fast to steal bases. He just didn't do it, I think, because of the injury. I still think we can get another 40 homer, 25 steal season in there with a plus batting average. I still think that's in here, and it feels like he's been around forever and he's getting old. Fernando Tatis is just turned 26, 11 days ago.
26, yeah.
11 days ago. So
Yep.
we're still getting to the prime parts of his career here.
Absolutely.
I'm still in.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the exit velocity and stuff like that, and like the hard hit rate. So I don't know if you watched the second base episode yet. Talked about Marcus Semien and how had that 40 home run season and started like slowly dropping off. I remember a couple of years ago, I wrote an article trying to relate exit velocity and launch angle to like, can we use these really to predict home runs? And really the answer ended up being no.
Okay.
That there are just so many different there's so many different types of players that either hit a lot of home runs, and then like if you look at what they do with exit velocity and launch angle, and you go find somebody that pretty much it's exactly the same, they could hit 20 less home runs, and you're like, it makes no sense. So like Marcus Semien, for example, had like a exit velocity like of 88, but a launch angle of like almost 20. It was crazy. So you get a guy who just like lofts the ball and like, but it just carries to where then you get a guy like Tatis. And I said this on the show too. I was like, but then you're going to get guys who just hit straight up missiles. Tatis is a missile hitter.
Yep.
10-degree launch angle, 93.5 exit velocity. He's just crushing the ball. Like he hits it, goodbye. And he gets out in a hurry.
Lasers.
So, yeah, that it's so weird to like look at the exit velocity and the launch angle, and you're gonna see a lot of analysts refer to those numbers a lot on Twitter and all over the place, different sites. They take it with a grain of salt because my research kind of deemed that it really didn't mean a lot. I mean, it's useful information to have, but like it's really hard to predict home run hitters off of that data, in my opinion. So,
sure.
Number 4, Kyle Tucker, now no longer with the Houston Astros.
Nope. After a strange season, which we'll talk about in a second here, he was sent to the Cubs for Isak Paredes, Hayden Wesneski, and prospect Cam Smith. And so he is in his contract year. If you were a believer in the contract year narrative, he is a free agent after this year. Last season was incredibly frustrating if you were a Kyle Tucker owner, because mid-season, I remember they took him out of the lineup. He fouled a ball off his leg, and they took him out of the lineup, and they said, we're not going to put him on the injured list. He'll be fine in less than a week. And then every week, it just kept going by, and they're like, eventually, we'll just put him on the injured list. And before it was all said and done, he ended up playing 78 games. So essentially half the season, because he missed the second half. And then after the season, they admitted, it was actually a fracture down there. We didn't want to tell everybody. We just kept saying it's a shin bruise, which was incredibly frustrating. But the other part of it that was frustrating was, for a player who has been rock solidly locked into the top half of the first round, he was honestly off to even a better start than we've ever seen before. 23 home runs in 78 games with 11 steals. That's, for a guy whose career high in home runs is 30. he was on pace to go over 40, 20 steals, around 290. I know it's not great to just double everything like that, but he can do that. That is in the realm of possibility for him. Now, some of it's been made that it's tougher on left-handers to hit balls out of Wrigley Field. I really don't care when it comes to a player like Kyle Tucker. If it's Isaac Paredes who went back, right? Yes, that concerns me, and he's going to do better with the Crawford boxes in Houston. With a player like Kyle Tucker who is hitting massive home runs, he's going to have no problem hitting the ball out of Wrigley Field. I still think you just want to write down 30 home runs, 20 plus steals, and anything beyond that is gravy. I think that's fine because I think that's pretty much in the bank for him.
That's pretty much exactly what the projections have. And just to kind of circle back to the exit velocity launch angle thing. So he's 91 miles per hour exit velocity last year, a 21.2 launch angle. So not only was he hitting it hard, it was also up. Perfect. So like he's like the mix of both. It's kind of like he's hitting moonshots, but they're also like flying out of there. So yeah, he was just destroying the ball last year. Last year, like his launch angle was a little bit higher than it normally is. It's usually like anywhere between like 17. 17 is about his average. So expect that, but still, that to me, that's kind of like the sweet spot. You want somebody like around that 16, 17 range, but hitting around like 90. It's weird to see guys like hitting it like 10, 8 launch angles and just like consistently, but still hitting a ton of bombs. Like you're just hitting lasers, man. That's hard to do. Not a lot of guys can do that. You got to get like the Aaron Judge type power to be able to do that. So, all right, number 3, Mookie Betts. I mean, still one of the best, but I don't know why. Why do I always like the last couple of years? You're like, yeah, Mookie Betts was good, but like, what? I don't know. Was he really that good, especially last year?
Last year was the hand injury, right? Last year he breaks his hand getting hit by a pitch. So I think that saps part of the power. The home runs fell from 39 in the year before to 19. But if you're coming off of a broken hand, I can give you a break for a little bit less power. So instead, he just says, okay, well, I'll steal the most bases I've stole since 2019. Now it wasn't a lot more, but 16, you're going to get a lot of runs scored as he bats towards the top of the Dodgers lineup that you just said is getting better and better all the time. He bats behind, he can do fine in RBIs because he's behind Shohei Ohtani, who's driving himself in sometimes. But when he's on base, he's going to score runs. He's going to get RBI. I just think there is a lot of ways for Mookie Betts to return value as a first round pick. Does he have the prodigious power of even a Fernando Tatis? No, he doesn't. He's not Yordan Alvarez. I'd take Yordan Alvarez to hit more home runs, but he'll give you steals. He's going to come with a ton of counting stats. It's very bankable to me that Mookie Betts will find a way to return value. And he's the only person on this list with multi-eligibility. You can play him at shortstop, and in some formats, you can probably still play him at second, where he is exceptionally. If you can use him at second base, he is exceptionally valuable. Shortstop's still good, but he's the only one on this list with that designation is a second position.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys on this list that we've already covered, right? Who we've talked about, like they can hit 25, 30 bombs and possibly get 30 steals. Mookie's not that guy anymore. He can hit 30 bombs probably pretty easily. He's not getting you the 30 steals. He may not even get you 20. But not a lot of guys on this list can get you 110 plus RBI and runs, separately
with a 300 batting average.
He's over 200 plus runs and RBI. That is just super valuable considering he also gives you that crazy power, and he's not a 0 in steals. So, he's still a plus player in steals. So that's why he stays up there. I agree. So number 2, Juan Soto, the ex-Yankee, moving across the to the other side of the city.
Yeah, the ex-Yankee goes for the richest contract ever to the Mets here. And so now it becomes, okay, was this a contract year narrative that he had his best season yet, which is saying something for a guy who's on track to be a Hall of Famer, but 128 runs scored, career high. First time we saw him go for 40 home runs with 41, 109 RBIs, 7 steals, and a 288 batting average. So I think that the runs come down, right? He's no longer batting in front of Aaron Judge. which will help that number decrease. I think it'll be good because he gets on base constantly with the ability to walk, but I would bank the under on the 128, probably around 100. 41 home runs, that probably goes down too. Going from Yankee Stadium to, I don't remember where the Mets play anymore is even called, but wherever the Mets play, we're going from Yankee Stadium to the Mets Park. It will drop down. Ribby's probably going around with it. The average is bankable, but it's another skill set. He's not a zero in steals. He's going to give you probably 5 to 10. And then that comes with 30 plus home runs, probably around 100 runs scored. He can hit 300. He hit 288 last year, 275, but we've seen him hit as high as 315 over the course of a full season. So high average, some steals, and a lot of counting stats. Again, I'll take Juan Soto in the top 5 picks of most drafts.
And if you're in an OBP league, he's probably the first overall pick, man.
100%.
Because he crushes an OBP. 419 last year. His lowest ever is 401.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
that's pretty damn good.
Is 420. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
So we're good. We're good on that one. So, and number 1, to nobody's surprise, his ex-teammate Aaron Judge.
You said it earlier. The concern with Judge is just the injuries, and it didn't hit last year, and we hope it doesn't hit again. But if you had Aaron Judge in 2023 when he had the toe injury, he was still hitting when he was healthy, but then the toe flared up. But last year, league leading 58 home runs, league leading 104 RBIs. And it comes with a 322 batting average. That's the other part of this that doesn't get talked about enough. And he chips in 10 steals. That's 2 of the last 3 years he's tipped in double-digit steals. What else you say? I mean, there's no reason to doubt that he's not going to lead the league in home runs again. If I were to bet, he would be the choice. He's probably going to lead in RBIs. He's a 300-plus batting average. And he plays in one of the best hitters parks in baseball. And he lost Juan Soto in front of him, but they added more to help out. Cody Bellinger's there, Paul Goldschmidt. Yeah, they're not Juan Soto, but they're not slouches either. So he's still going to have plenty of guys to drive in. It's just extremely safe. You want to take Aaron Judge? I'll take him at pick 3 in most drafts, I think.
Yeah, he definitely losing Soto is huge, but look, I mean, Goldschmidt, Bellinger, gonna have a full season at Jazz, hopefully. Volpe's, still coming around. I also don't think they're done. I think
they get Alex Bregman. I think Alex Bregman plays third base, and I think Jazz ends up in the outfield. I think they're
gonna pick up some other help here. Almost like the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing where you lose Soto, but maybe you become a better team for it because you're filling more spots. To where if you pay for Soto, you can't do a whole lot unless you're the Dodgers, I know the Yankees can do it too, but not a lot of franchises can do that. It's funny, I'm looking at OBP here, oh my goodness, I did not realize he had a 458 OBP last year.
Okay, so if you're talking the 5 rotisserie categories, if you're having to make a choice for top 5 finish, I think I'd probably predict Aaron Judge finishes in the top 3 or 4 of the top 4 of the 5 rotisserie categories. He finishes in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's home runs, RBIs, and batting average. That's pretty damn good.
You're banking him to finish that. So it's not going to be steals, but I said not a zero there. Take him in the top 3 of your drafts. You talked about Ohtani and Witt. I'll take Aaron Judge after those 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard to find the guys like Ohtani who did it, and then Acuna does a couple years ago, right? Bobby Witt's a guy that we could possibly say could finish in the top 5 in all 5. It's hard to find those players. Getting 4 out of the 5s, pretty damn good. So bank on Aaron Judge to be a very safe pick up top, assuming the health. But that's it for your, I guess I don't want to say ours. It's definitely yours. Your top 10 outfielders here. But I want to thank you for going through that. Just while you're still here, though, hit that subscribe button, the like button, jump over, become an all access member. And Fantasy 6-Pack Series is back for the 4th year. Jump on over, sign up right now. The link's over on the site, the top of my Twitter and Blue Sky. Sign up, free to play. Winner gets a Trophy Smack trophy. It's sitting there behind me. So I won last year. Come get it from me.
I will. I will be. That will be here next year.
You and everybody else that said that to me. So good luck. All right, guys. Have a good one, and see you next time.